Okay, we've got the management of Century Ply Boards joining us right now. Mr. Sanjay Agarwal is Managing Director of Century Ply Boards. So what has happened? What is new? The National Green Tribunal, the NGT, has rejected the two recently submitted review forms by the Uttar Pradesh government against an earlier NGT order. This was in February of 2020 on the matter of setting up of new wood-based industry in UP, in that state. So NGT in Feb 2020 had ruled against setting up new wood-based industry. The government in Uttar Pradesh had filed review applications, and those have also been rejected. So this now puts into question the 1,200 plus wood-based industries which have come up after or in various stages of execution and commissioning in that state post the NGT order. We're going to ask Mr. Agarwal what this does to incremental fresh supply and what does it mean for listed players like Century. Mr. Agarwal, thanks very much for joining us. What would this mean, sir, for you, who's a market leader, for other plywood makers, and does this put you in an advantageous position because incremental supply will be limited?
Yeah, morning. I think this is a subject which it really requires to come to public's knowledge. So thank you for bringing in such a wonderful topic, because everybody across the country is worried about the environment and is also worried about deforestation and afforestation actually. I will just tell you a small history so that you can understand and the public who is hearing can understand. Basically, the Ministry of Environment and Forest has said that no license is needed for a particular type of industries which use, this agroforestry, basically. So, based upon that, there are now licenses are being issued. Some governments are saying no license is required, but
Okay, Mr. Agarwal, we unfortunately, are not getting your audio, so we'll try and reconnect with you, but that's the Century Ply Board. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, okay. So, you see, the UP government decided to go ahead with a earlier system where state governments were authorized to issue licenses. So, they went ahead, asked for applications, issued certain licenses, and NGO went into the court and got NGT and got a stay. So that's there. Then the UP government now went to NGT and said, sir, we have enough agroforestry and we can service all these licenses. And the recent order which have been issued, the UP government had submitted the data and the NGT did not agree with the data. So they have now quashed the whole thing and they have said that you get all the district-wise data and every, species-wise data and all that is being required. So that is the basic, you can say, the history behind the order which have been issued. But this order is there. The government has been trying to actually remove that stay. Basically, that is the point. So I think the more important point is little different, you see. In 1996, the Supreme Court of India issued a stay order on all the northeast plywood units which were using forest timber. And all those units were closed down. And after that, the government has been so strict that no unit in India today runs on forest timber. But the units are running. But you see the impact of that order. That order actually started the beginning of agroforestry in India. Every small farmer in the country started planting small patches of timber in their farmland, on the farmland which they were not using probably for farming. And those places started giving lot of timber which could be used for plywood units or MDF units. And the industry also adjusted itself to use those kind of timber. And that, if you really see the data, I am sure you are into it, so you know the data better than me, that the forest coverage of India has increased by miles, even after India being self-reliant on all the wood products.
Mr.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Agarwal, apologies. Really sorry to interrupt you. We're short on time.
Yeah.
But this is fascinating history, and we probably will have you back to talk about this.
Yes.
But briefly, if you can tell us, what will happen to the provisional approvals which were given? I'm looking at a report which says there is some 1,215 wood-based industries in UP which were given provisional sort of approval to go ahead and run. What happens to these, and what happens to incremental supply? You're saying this eventually, the government will have to come back and give a district-wise data, etc. We don't know which way this will go, but what will happen? Is there any impact on existing businesses like yours, sir?
You see, as long as this stay is not vacated, yes, the present licenses may not be operating. But this does not mean incremental supply for existing. I have a unit in Roorkee and I have a unit in Punjab, and we get timber from UP. But it does not mean, because it will now disincentivize the local farmer to plant such agroforestry. So maybe for some time they will plant, and the moment they don't get the price they want, then they will stop or reduce the plantation of agroforestry. So I personally believe totally that this kind of an order will not help the local industry, all the existing people also in long run. Yes, in a short term, I agree. What you are saying, or it may help a little bit of increased supply, or little bit of satisfaction that yes, now I don't have competition. But in long run, that is not the truth.
Mr. Agarwal, unfortunately, we've completely run out of time, so we'll have to leave the discussion there. But thanks so much for,
Yeah, but I will
throwing
request you
light
to
on
actually
this
take
particular
up
topic.
this
As we slip into
challenge for future.
Absolutely, we will. Thanks again for joining in. As we slip into a short break,